Well, good morning everybody and welcome to another Sunday morning show. As you can see, not in the office, but on a ferry. And I'm heading across the channel to France to do some filming with my brother Paul and James Pickard. We're over here on Brittany Ferries. We're going out there to do some filming around 3 amazing golf courses. But whilst we're there, I thought we'd take a little bit of time out and explore the area that we're going to. Now this is an area that I've wanted to go to for a long time. It's the Omaha Beach area. We're playing Omaha Beach Golf Club, but I thought we could head down to the actual beach itself and just do a little bit of exploring and look at the history of what went on there during D-Day. James Pickard's been there himself, he knows a little bit about it, so I'm going to bring him along for our journey. But let's get over to France, let's play a bit of golf and share with you our experiences. Oh, James! James! You do it like that, your forehand's not even going to get there. It's gone right. Miss-hit right. It's now off the planet. So this is quite exciting, James, isn't it? Because I mean, like me and you, through all our chats over time, we're actually both quite keen on history, and certainly when it comes to World War I, World War II, I'm certainly more World War II. Anything that comes out about World War II, I kind of jump on and want to read it and get involved in it. But we've made our way, obviously we caught the ferry into Cannes, and just out of luck, really, we were driving, we're going over to Deauville, and we came across a very famous site as part of World War II and part of D-Day, and it's Pegasus Bridge. And I mean, you know, you've obviously done some research on it and done a little bit more on it, but this was a key area, wasn't it, part of D-Day? Yeah. Back in the landing. So actually this was the site of the unfortunately of the first loss of life for Allied forces, is that right?
Yeah, on the D-Day landings, first Allied loss of life.
Right.
So I think it was important in terms of Cannes was occupied by German forces.
Yeah.
And direction we're going over there is D-Day landings, were obviously Omaha Beach, Sword Beach, Utah Beach, etc, etc. And to be able to advance towards Cannes, they had to cross this bridge. So they, I think it was the evening of D-Day, so it was just after midnight, so way before the rest of the forces came in. They landed gliders near the bridge, took the bridge, and then kind of kept it secure in order to let the Allied forces over it to get towards Cannes and move in that direction to liberate that. You can even see the cafe.
Yeah, and there's a bit of a story with the cafe as well, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure of like completely the background of it, but it's still run by the same family. So I think the woman that runs it currently, her parents, and she was actually liberated. She was one of the first people liberated from the Germans in the war.
Right.
And yeah, she still runs it.
So this bridge that we're looking at over here, you can see that we actually just drove across it, and we're going to head back that way in just a moment. But this is actually a new bridge. So this was put in I believe 1994.
Yeah.
They updated this. There is an original bridge which was first put in 1934, and that was obviously the main bridge, and the Pegasus Bridge, the original kind of bridge that was put in there. So. But we're going to go and have a quick look at it, because it's actually just over the fence, just over there. Right, so we've come across the road. We've been over there, over by the bank there, but across here is obviously the museum and things that go on. We're sort of standing outside. I don't think it's right to be actually in there filming. So this is one of the gliders, and you would have seen this. I mean, you see this on some of the war films. You see the planes like dragging, they would obviously take off, and behind them there would be a rope, and they would literally tow them off the runway and glider them, and the gliders would take off with them. And this is a real glider, isn't it, James?
Yeah, I think
this
it
is
actually,
one of the.
it actually is. I just looked at a picture and
yeah. And this is obviously what would have brought in the troops to then get ahead of the D-Day landings, to then do what we just talked about with the actual Pegasus Bridge. And then we have the original Pegasus Bridge. This is the original 1934 Pegasus Bridge. They've moved it across from obviously what was over on the main bridge area now over to this museum space, and yeah, opportunity for people to actually walk across it and then show off the history of what it was all about. So James, Omaha Beach.
Yeah.
I mean, this is it, isn't it? This is where it all unfolded on that fateful day.
Yeah, part of it.
Part of it.
Definitely, yeah. I think there's 5 beaches, but this was one of the main ones.
Yeah. So today we're going to have a little, obviously wander up and down the beach, have a little, get a feel of it. I mean, we've got a beautiful day for it, so it's absolutely stunning out here. And then we're going to make our way up to the memorial, aren't we?
Yeah, go and have a look.
Have a little look at the American War Memorial, which I've never had the opportunity to come and see it. I know you've been here before to see it, but it's something that I've wanted to do for a long, long time. Never had the opportunity to do it. I think most people should try and do it. If they get an opportunity to come over here and experience it and just see it for in their own eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's one of the reasons I said to you about if we go to Omaha Beach Golf Club, like I wanted to come along, was just to, you know, I've been there, I think that's the 4th time. That'll be the 4th time I've been there.
Yeah.
And it's every time I just absolutely love it there.
Yeah. So we just left Paul back there. He was quite busy building the sandcastle, wasn't he?
Yeah,
enjoying himself on a little day out on the beach. He, interestingly, Paul doesn't spend much time on the beach on a golf course, you know. So he tries to make the most of it.
Absolutely.
You know? There you go, everyone. That's how you play that. Coming onto this beach, you have 34,000 troops, US troops.
Yeah, roughly 34,000. Yeah, on this one.
Came onto Omaha Beach, of which 30,000 managed to get through.
Yes.
4,000 unfortunately didn't make it off the beach.
Yeah.
And you look at you can see how, you know, when you obviously coming in here, you can kind of see how difficult it must have been. Obviously the terrain, even just where we're walking here now, the sand is extremely soft, isn't it?
It's sinking, yeah.
Like, so you imagine you're trying to put on tanks and different vehicles, military vehicles, to get across off this beach and then up over what are, well, they're very high sand dunes. Yeah. It's like a wall of sand dunes coming along here, and then you get the kind of the flats over the top of the dunes, and then beyond there, then you've got to go up another steep bank to get up to the top of the mainland. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, well, obviously it was very difficult. I think, I don't know where it is. It could be those cliffs down there, but I'm not sure. But there's Arromanches near here as well, which I think was British troops, but they had to use ladders to get up the cliff basically, because it was just sheer cliff. So you kind of, especially like when you get to the cemetery, you'll be able to look down and see just how hard it must have been.
And when I walk along here now, there's a hint, especially where you go over these kind of, you come off the beach, you go over these dunes into, and there's like I said, it's a flatland, it's like a wetland area.
Yeah.
And we've actually, close to us back home, well, closer to me rather than you, and I know that you're not too far away from a pottery. So a pottery was where, if you watch the Band of Brothers, you'll see that they started a pottery, which is not far away from where you live yourself, is it? So they were all the troops were sort of located on the south coast of England before they then got into obviously the D-Day movement to come over here. But by me, we've got an area called Slapton. Slapton Sands. Now Slapton Sands is actually quite a famous thing, and I will probably take you there one day, but it's not far. It's not far from where I live. It's on the south coast of England there, Devon. And what they did is they looked at it, and it looked very similar. The land layout was very similar to what we're seeing here now.
Yeah.
There would have been a specific part of the beach that looked very similar to it, because what you had is you had a at the beach, then you had the sort of dune area, and then over the back of the dune area was a watered spot. So where we've got the flat area here behind us, what the Germans had done is they'd flooded it. So they'd flooded that area again to try and stop the Allied troops being able to advance over the top of that. But Slapton was literally identical to that spot in France, where they then took all their troops, the US troops, Canadian troops I believe, to practice their landing.
Yeah, they had a bit of a
disaster,
yeah. I think loads and loads of troops died.
What actually happened, James, is a U-boat got in. A
Yes.
U-boat managed to get in to where they were practicing, and obviously opened fire and did a huge amount of damage, sadly. But it didn't come out until after the war, because that information didn't come out till after the war because of morale. They were trying to obviously keep the spirits up of those troops and families. So that unfortunately got buried a little bit during the war. So yeah, well, we're going to head up to now the memorial, the cemetery, and I'm not sure how it's going to work, because I'm not sure whether I want to film it in any way. I'm not sure how respectful that is. So we're going to head up there now and take a little look. Check it out, yeah.
My fellow Americans, last night when I spoke with you about the fall of Rome, I knew at that moment that troops of the United States and our allies were crossing the Channel in another and greater operation. It has come to pass with success thus far. And so, in this poignant hour, I ask you to join with me in prayer.
Now, I didn't want to just finish this video off over in France. I wanted to come home and piece the video together, relive the journey. It was fantastic to catch up with James and Paul on the ferry on the way back to sort of go through our own experiences of our first visit over to the Omaha Beach area and live what you've heard in the stories over the years and what you've seen on TV. When we made our way up to the cemetery, I was mixed with emotion. I thought I would be quite emotional with dealing with it myself, and there were times where I needed some quiet time to myself. And it's only when you look across the graves and you see numbers, you see the amount. Now, growing up, when you hear the history lessons that we had at school and you watch what you watch on TV, they talk about numbers. It's only until you actually physically see it that you realise the scale of what has happened there. But what I would say is how well maintained it was. It was absolutely amazing to see the detail and how well everything is looked after over there, and that gives you a warm sense inside with everything that's kind of going on around you. And that's something that I think will probably live with me for the rest of my life when it comes to my experience of this. The actual trip itself, absolutely fantastic trip. We got to play some amazing golf courses over there. We got to see some amazing sights along the way, as we do on all of these trips. And for me, I would say that it's a trip that most people, if you can get the chance to do it, definitely do it. Right, boys. Cheers. Good health.
Cheers.
Oh, I've got a little rosé this evening.
Lovely.
Just to top off
I
the day.
don't.
As you do. As you do. Cheers. And then this week on the channel, we've got St Enodoc. Yes, myself, my brother Paul, James Pickard and Lester are heading down to the north coast of Cornwall, where we're playing one of the top links golf courses in the country, certainly in the southwest. It's part of the Atlantic Links, and it's a fun golf course and one that you definitely want to be watching. Well, I think that's it for this week's Sunday morning show. I do promise everything will be back to normal next week. Lester and I will be sat in our chairs producing this from the office itself, and we will be back to some normality. Don't forget, if you are new to the channel and you like what you're seeing with these videos, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you all again next Sunday.